There are 16 states that are sending out stimulus checks. Will you be getting one? Stick around for today's episode and find out. While news about federally funded stimulus checks circulated in the first couple years of the pandemic, rumors began to circulate about the possibility of a fourth economic stimulus check following the distribution of a third round in March of 2021. Fast forward to August of 2022, and instead of federal stimulus funds, a handful of states implemented their own type of stimulus programs in an effort to better help their residents. In today's video, we'll list the 16 states that are handing out stimulus checks or tax refunds, as well as how you can check to see whether you qualify. Be sure to stick around to the end of the video as we'll look at some of the best ways that you can use that stimulus money or the extra cash flow in these times of economic uncertainty. Now, on to the list. State number one is California. Governor Gavin Newsom recently said millions of Californians would be getting checks to combat the inflation later this year under a new tax rebate program designed to help the middle class. Qualified individuals would get as much as $1,050 at some point between the end of October of 2022 and the middle of January 2023. Now, to qualify, you have to have been a resident of California for at least 6 months in the 2020 tax year and had to have filed a 2020 tax return by October 15th of 2021. You also cannot have been listed as someone else's dependent for the 2020 tax year. There are also specific adjusted gross income requirements, and you need to still be a California resident at that time that the payment is made. Californians who are eligible can get between $200 and $1,050 depending on their income and tax filing status. Be sure to check the description below. I'll go ahead and put links to California's as well as the other 15 states' requirements down there for you. State number two is Colorado, my home state. The Colorado Cash Back Act was signed into law on May 23rd, giving Coloradans the opportunity to receive tax refunds of $750 for single filers or $1,500 for joint filers. Only those who were full-year residents of the state for 2021 and are at least 18 years old at that time of December 31st of 2021 will be eligible for this refund. As long as you filed a Colorado state income tax return before June 30th, you should get your check by September 30th, while those who had extended filing deadlines in October 2022 should get theirs by January 31st, 2023. State number three is Delaware. In May, the Delaware Aid Reconciliation Plan was signed by Governor John Carney, which allows a one-time $300 payment to every adult resident in the state. To qualify, Delaware residents should need to file a state income tax return for 2021 before the deadline. Checks will be issued throughout the summer, according to Delaware's Finance Department website. State number four is Florida, where I part-time reside, doing plenty of work out there in the short-term rental space. Last month, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced a $450 one-time check is being sent out to families who are foster parents or who are enrolled in the government assistance program. An estimated 59,000 families will get this payment. The fifth state is Georgia. In March, Governor Brian Kemp signed legislation to provide a refund extended to help Georgians cope with an increasingly high cost of living. Those who file single are entitled to $250, while residents filing jointly will receive $375, and married couples filing jointly will receive $500. Most payments will be issued in early August for those who have filed taxes before the tax deadline in April of 2022, according to the Georgia Department of Revenue website. Number six is Hawaii. Back on June 22nd, Governor David Ige approved a measure that would reimburse every Hawaiian resident $100 or $300, depending on his or her income, filing status, and number of exemptions. Single filers and heads of household making over $100,000 last year are entitled to receive $100 in refunds, and individuals in the same category making under $100,000 last year are entitled to $300 in refunds. The same amount would go to married couples if you filed jointly and separately, and surviving spouses who made over $200,000 last year and under $200,000 respectively. The checks will be issued at the end of August. The seventh state on the list is Idaho. Idaho Governor Brad Little signed legislation back in February that would give residents a one-time tax refund worth $75 or 12% of their Idaho state taxes for 2020, whichever is greater. To qualify, recipients had to have been full-year residents of Idaho for the year of 2020 as well as 2021, and they had to file either an income tax return or return with a refund of their food stamps from those years. The payments began being distributed in March of 2022. State number 8 is Illinois. Illinois residents are starting to see the results of the state's $1.83 billion family assistance plan, which launched in early July and includes the suspension of a 1% sales tax on groceries through June 30th of 2023 and the lowering of sales tax from 6.25% to 1.25% during a back-to-school shopping holiday between the 5th of August to the 14th of August of 22. The increase to gas taxes, which would normally occur in July, was also moved to January of 2023. Income tax refund checks are being issued as well. Individual filers making less than $200,000 in 2021 are eligible for $50, and married couples filing jointly and making less than $400,000 are eligible for $100. Those filing as dependents are also eligible for $100 in credits for each child, with a maximum of 3 children credits per household. Checks will be sent the week of September 12th. State number 9 is Indiana. Indiana Governor Eric Holcomb recently signed into law a bill that uses excess reserves to provide a one-time $125 tax refund for residents. The first set of checks was issued May, and additional sets will come in July and will be issued to all residents who have lived through a full year, regardless of income level, if they filed their 2020 taxes before January 3rd of 2022. A special session was called for July 25th, with the House Ways and Means Committee passing a bill that would have distributed $225 stimulus checks out of the state tax surplus. Check the description below for a link with more information on the status of Indiana's stimulus checks. The 10th state here on the list is Maine. Maine is actually paying some of the highest amounts of the stimulus checks for its residents, with single filers and couples receiving $850 and $1,700 respectively, thanks to a new law that was signed into law. Full-year residents are required to file Maine's income tax returns by October 31st of 2022 and have their federally adjusted gross income in below $100,000 if they are filing individually, or married filing separately below $150,000 if they are filing jointly as a married couple or with surviving spouses, and below $200,000 if they're filing jointly as a married couple or surviving spouse. Note that residents who have yet to file a 2021 tax return still have until October 31st to do so in order to be eligible, so make sure you get those finished up. The checks started sending out in June for Maine. Okay, moving on to the 11th state, which is Massachusetts. The Massachusetts state legislature recently failed to pass a $250 stimulus check to eligible residents. However, it is likely that money will continue to be distributed to large numbers of Massachusetts citizens under Massachusetts law from 1986. The state must refund surplus tax revenues to taxpayers, which means that many residents are likely to receive some of the roughly $2.5 billion in excess money that the state has collected. Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker said that residents would receive 7% back on their state income tax payments in 2021, or roughly $250 for people making $75,000 per year. The state auditor will decide by September 20th whether Massachusetts can offer the refunds and how much they will be exactly. Number 12 here is New Jersey. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy recently signed a bill that allows qualifying New Jersey residents to receive checks worth up to $500 under the middle class tax rebate, which offers tax credits for children for those who claimed at least one dependent when filing their taxes for 2020. Each year going forward, payments would be made in July the following year to those who filed taxes by the April deadline. Eligibility is based on having at least one qualifying child claimed as a dependent, tax liability over $1, and specified income limits. Those limits are a gross annual income under $150,000 for married individuals filing jointly, heads of household, and surviving spouses, or under $75,000 for single filers and married individuals filing separately. In June of 2022, the governor also announced plans to introduce a new $1,500 rebate to qualifying families paying property taxes, which will also cover renters. This measure has not yet been adopted, so keep your eyes peeled to see what comes out of it. The 13th of 16 states here on the list is New Mexico. New Mexico is providing its residents with 2 different stimulus checks thanks to new legislation signed into law by Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham earlier this March. First, married couples filing jointly, heads of household, and surviving spouses with incomes below $150,000 get $500 back, while single filers and married individuals filing separately with incomes below $75,000 get $250 each. These rebates will be paid automatically this month to people who already filed their 2021 state income taxes. Another income tax rebate is also being sent, with the first half having been paid in June and the final half coming in August. Single filers and married individuals filing separately will get $500, while married couples filing jointly, heads of household, and surviving spouses are eligible for $1,000. The 14th state here is Oregon. Oregon residents who qualified for a one-time assistance check in recent years should have received it before July 31st of 2022. The $600 checks were distributed to low-income residents who received Oregon's earned income tax credit in the 2020 tax year filing and lived in Oregon during the last 6 months of 2020. All right, here we are at the second to last state, number 15, which is South Carolina. Eligible residents in South Carolina soon will get a maximum of $800 in refunds from the state income tax thanks to a new bill signed into law by their governor. Those rebates are awarded to each individual regardless of how he or she files his or her taxes. Anyone who has not filed their income taxes yet would not be eligible for the rebate. Delivery of these checks is scheduled for November and December of 2022. Finally, the 16th state on the list, and our final state for today, is Virginia. Virginia residents with tax liabilities from the previous year are eligible for a maximum of $500 in the state's one-time tax rebate program, either in the form of a one-time payment of $250 to individual filings who are filing separately, or $500 to couples that are filing jointly. So please note that those stimulus checks are not planning to go out until later in the fall, with the website saying that they'll go out late October for those who filed 2021 tax returns before July 1st. So you'll have until November 1st to apply. Now, on to the part that we promised at the start of the video, which I think is the best part, some of the smartest ways that you can utilize those extra funds during these times of economic volatility. The first recommendation will be obvious to most, though we've got some interesting ways to go about it, so stick with us here. Save that money, folks. It sounds simple enough, right? If you follow this channel for a while, then you know that we often talk about how savings accounts hold people back from hitting their financial goals. Typically, we are not recommending allowing your money to sit idly in the bank, working for the banks and not you. But when you find ways to put your money to work for you, you no longer have to depend on trading time for money. It's just that when times are uncertain, like they are today, it's important to stockpile liquid capital so it can be used when the inevitable deals come in. And that's when market corrections or crashes come along. One of the most interesting ways that we found to do this is to invest in infinite banking. Now, I won't go into the details on what that looks like here, as we've got the perfect video for you to watch if the concept of becoming your own bank interests you. Make sure you check the description below for that, or click on the link showing here in the top right corner of the screen to learn all about infinite banking. Beyond becoming your own bank, there are other ways to hang on to cash reserves, including CDs, cash management accounts, online savings accounts, and traditional savings accounts, but you'll find that those are not going to keep up with current inflation numbers, so putting your money into those isn't going to add much value to you at this time, if any, other than you're on standby for those opportunities. For a better return on investment, we'd recommend looking at growing your earnings potential through up-leveling yourself in current skill set or starting a side hustle. If you can spend $1,000 up-leveling your current skill set to a place where you're able to earn an additional $10,000 or $20,000 a year, it would be an absolute no-brainer. Unfortunately, it's not often that simple, and sometimes the most beneficial place to up-level yourself isn't as obvious. A good place for anyone to start is in looking at learning how to be a better negotiator, especially when it comes to your salary. Most people wait around for their employer to give them a raise, whether in a quarterly or yearly review, and even in those meetings, they don't do as much as they could, if anything at all, to put themselves in a better position. And there are several fantastic books on this subject, titles like Getting More by Stuart Diamond and Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, one of my favorite books. They're great places to start and are extremely inexpensive ways to up-level yourself in an area that could pay off really big in both the short and the long term. Another place that many Americans could use some much needed up-leveling is in their personal finances. If you've followed the channel for a while, you know that VIP offers one-on-one coaching services that help individuals and families take their finances to the next level. We help you go further, faster, financially, and our reviews and reputation speak for itself. You can learn more about that by visiting our website at vipfinancialed.com, where we've got several options from single one-on-one coaching sessions to longer-term coaching relationships. which are done with me personally. So this would be how we can develop a personal relationship between us, and I'll help guide you myself. The last thing we'd recommend looking at is using this extra stimulus for a side hustle, whether it be getting a side hustle started or learning the ropes on a new side hustle through coaching, putting extra cash to work in an area that has the potential to replace your 9-to-5 income would be a huge blessing for the right person. Now, I say for the right person because it's not as easy to start a side hustle as people would like. It takes a lot of work, it takes grit, it requires that you trade your hours up front to build something that will pay off later in life. And we'll talk about side hustles a lot here on the channel, specifically in real estate, creative real estate, through the business in a box solution known as Little Pink Houses of America. That's a great solution for those who want to get involved in real estate. You don't want to be tied down to a one avenue of real estate. You only want to work 10 to 15, maybe 20 hours per week, work from home. They've designed a multi-pronged approach to real estate and guide you through absolutely everything. So you don't need to come in with prior real estate experience for that model. The Little Pink Houses playlist will also be linked in the description for you if you'd like to learn more. Also, what do you plan to do with the money when you get it? Very curious. Go ahead and let us know in the comments below. Be sure to check out some of the videos that we've listed in the description as well. They'll offer some ideas for compounding that stimulus so it really pays off, especially in years to come. Don't forget to share this video if you liked it. Drop a thumbs up for it. It's very helpful for us with the algorithm. Until we see you on the next video, make it a great day today and keep on cash flowing. We'll see you soon.